An ancient great flood. Humanity is on the brink of extinction. Who was Noah? And what are the secrets hidden beneath the waves of this ancient great flood? His story is a timeless epic of survival against the cataclysmic flood that resonates across various cultures and continents. Imagine a large ship constructed by the hands of a chosen man who received the signs of humanity's largest disaster. According to ancient texts, Noah's Ark towered over the landscape designed to shelter humanity. As the waters emerged and the land was consumed by chaos, Noah and his followers stood as a last hope in the sea. Join me on a journey through the records of time as we unravel the mysteries of Noah's Ark and explore the legacy of ancient great flood scientifically to seek the answers to the lost world. Before we dive deep in understanding the Great Flood, let's look at the brief story of Noah. Noah is one of the most notable personalities according to biblical and Quranic narratives, mostly famous due to a supermassive flood which affected a large land area of the earth. Noah and his followers were saved from the flood by a ship constructed by Noah himself. According to Quran, Noah built the ship from wood, nails and ropes. Bible further states that God ordered him to construct a ship of the size of 440 feet long, 72 feet wide and 43 feet high. For comparison, Titanic is about 882 feet long. That is about 50% of the length of Titanic. Noah was also ordered by God to populate a pair of animals of every kind to save them from the flood. When the ship was ready and signs of the flood emerged, Noah entered the ship. After that, water began to pour down on the land surface from the sky and the ground, which resulted in a supermassive flood whose waves were over the size of mountains, which devastated the land area and living beings at that region. The Noah's ship was also floating for months on the flood water before it hit the ground, where he put the foundation for starting new civilization. There are also other sources about the Great Flood, which are less authentic and mostly came from folk tales across various ancient cultures. Let's have a look on them and find out what the ancient cultures and mythology have to say about such flood. Ancient cultures have preserved the memory of supermassive floods in their stories and poems. For example, Mesopotamian flood myth in the Epic of Gilgamesh. One of the most famous flood myths outside of the biblical narrative is found in the Epic of Gilgamesh, an ancient Mesopotamian poem. In this story, the hero Gilgamesh learns about a great flood planned by the gods to destroy humanity. He is instructed by the mythological god Ea to build a large boat to save himself, his family, and various animals from the great flood. After successful passing of the flood, Gilgamesh offers sacrifices and the mythological gods grant him immortality. Greek mythology. Greek mythology tells the story of a great flood sent by Zeus to destroy humanity, except for Deucalion and his wife Pyrrha, who were instructed by the Titan Prometheus to build an ark. They survived the flood and repopulated the earth by throwing stones behind them, which turned into humans. Norse mythology. In Norse mythology, there is a prophecy known as Ragnarok, which describes a series of events including a great flood called the Fimbulwinter. This flood is said to be caused by the breaking of cosmic chains that hold back the sea, leading to widespread destruction. Indian mythology, the story of Manu. Hindu mythology contains a flood story involving the sage Manu. According to the Matsya Purana, the mythological god Vishnu appeared to Manu in the form of a fish, Matsya, and warned him about an impending flood. Manu built a large boat and with the help of Matsya survived the flood and later repopulated the earth. Chinese mythology. Chinese mythology includes the story of a flood known as the Great Flood myth. According to this myth, The flood was caused by a mythological goddess Nova, who patched up the sky when it collapsed. Nova then used mud to seal the holes in the sky, but she was unable to control the flooding. So she allowed it to continue, leaving only a brother and a sister alive to repopulate the earth. Of course, these stories don't make any sense individually. The stories themselves and the characters of these stories differ in different civilizations, but the overall theme of a supermassive flood and the people saved by a hero on a ship remains the same. Now we have the idea of a supermassive flood from various historical records, which help us find the occurrence of supermassive flood. The story of Noah's flood, as described in various religious scripts, has fascinated and puzzled scholars and believers for centuries. But is there any scientific evidence to support the ancient Great Flood story? Archaeological excavations in Mesopotamia, located in modern-day Iraq, have revealed evidence of catastrophic flooding around 2900 BCE. The time frame of this flood aligns closely with the time frame proposed in biblical accounts. However, the region of Mesopotamia, often referred to as the cradle of civilizations, experienced periodic flooding many times due to its closeness to major rivers like Tigris and Euphrates. These floods were devastating and could have easily inspired the flood myth found in the ancient texts. But what about scientific evidence? Is there any geological proof of any supermassive flood that could have engulfed the whole Earth, or at least a major portion of the Earth? Geological records indicate that there have been many events of catastrophic flooding throughout the Earth's history. One such event happened nearly 7,000 years ago, when the Black Sea was overwhelmed by a massive influx of water from the Mediterranean Sea. This sudden flood would have impacted early human settlements in the region. No doubt, this event was extraordinary during the modern human era, but it was still a localized one and cannot be considered for a global flood, whose stories have left an imprint on most of the ancient civilizations. Supermassive global floods have happened several times since the formation of the Earth, but we have to look for the events that could have happened during the period of modern humans. One such extraordinary event has happened during the time of modern humans that could have devastated the population of humans on Earth. Archaeological evidence suggests that a chain of massive floods happened during a time known as Younger Dryas. There were significant flooding events caused by the collapse of glacial dams, which could potentially be linked to flood narratives similar to the story of Noah. One of the prominent features of the Younger Dryas was the presence of large ice sheets and glaciers across different continents of the Earth. These ice masses often formed supermassive natural dams, holding back tremendous quantities of melted fresh water. When these dams fell due to increased melted water pressure and structural weaknesses, catastrophic flood followed. According to archaeologists, this event happened around 12,900 to 11,700 years ago, at the end of the last ice age. The collapse of these glacial dams resulted in megafloods in which immense volumes of water were released in a short period. These floods would have been devastating and reshaped the landscapes. There are various geological evidence that support the occurrence of these megafloods during the Younger Dryas period. For example, the presence of large gravel deposits, sediment layers, and erosional features. These features are found in various regions around the world, including North America, Europe, and Asia. So, were the megafloods even during the Younger Dryas period linked to the Noah's Great Flood? While it looks speculative to directly link specific ancient flood events to the story of Noah, the similarities between these narratives and the geological evidence of megafloods during the Younger Dryas are fascinating. Recently, some archaeological findings have even given us the clues that ancient human civilizations could be as old as 10,000 to 12,000 years. The artifacts recovered from these civilizations even point to a cataclysmic happened somewhere between 12,900 to 11,700 years ago. So what are those ancient civilizations and what are those artifacts? We will discuss them next time.